My father asked me to tie a tie for him for work. He knocked on my door, staying at the house for a little bit, waiting for my fat corporate bonus so I can go on another one of my adventures. And he's like, Duval, you tie this tie for me. Actually, I don't think I have a good impression of my father. Duval. It just sounds like me with a little bit more twang. Anyway, I tied the tie for him, and it's if some white woman was making a documentary about our life, they're just like the college-educated private school son tying the tie for his incarcerated father. There's all that all that gross shit that those of you that know me, I'd probably want to distance myself from because it's just too on the nose. But my point is that it felt nice. Which again, if you've listened to this podcast from the beginning, that's a stark contrast to the fury and ire that I was filled with. And I don't know. I don't know what exactly is softened my approach to it. My father and my mom being back together and living together. And I don't know. That fucking surgery in between the beginning of this podcast and where we are now was one thing for sure. Laying there in that hospital bed, being like, "Oh, this doesn't last forever." And I've always been well aware of that. But when you feel it in your guts as they rip open your appendix, and in general, empathy is something that I've just been more dialed into. I just tear up at everything. I was watching Spider-Man No Way Home. Spoiler alert. And just seeing these men trying to mentor each other in this difficult world. Tobey Maguire was this elder brother who's like, yeah, I went through some dark shit, man, but you be alright. And then, Andrew Garfield was this middle brother who a lot. There's all this, I don't know, I think men are often scorned in our modern society. And we don't have a lot of outlets for our version of emotional trauma that, we have to deal with and shoulder quietly. Not that women don't have an immense world of hardships that they deal with, but I think the pendulum controlled by rich white women has made it so that the conversation must exclude men's anguish in order to be valid. In order for the national cultural conversation to be valid, men must behave and be quiet, or more specifically, white men must be quiet. And blah. Anyway, my point is that I feel for you, and I guess I'm trying to do a little Elvis Presley. Oh, I feel for you, and maybe a little Roy Orbison. All right, I don't know what that was, but it was something. Empathy. Man-to-man empathy. I guess I just look at my father with more, he's me. These two people created me. I don't know what the hell's gotten into me. I don't know why I'm softening all of a sudden, but you just realize how it is, and I've seen a lack of empathy in certain contemporaries who are in positions of power. I have a friend that I grew up with who ostensibly his public persona is very wildly, very generally, universally praised. He's afforded all this sort of love and admiration for what he does, and a lot of it's well deserved. He's a very talented individual, but in his personal life, and this is kind of why we don't speak as much anymore, he just disappoints me for what he could be. And as we grow older, it's you really have to evaluate the company you keep and what people stand for. And he doesn't have a lot of empathy for people, and that always bothered me. He would shit on friends from high school who I'm they're just doing their best, man. You have everything you have what many people will not have in their entire lifetime, and still you must put down others who have slighted you or did not universally celebrate you. So I think as I grow older and I kind of become attempt to become more the man that I want to be, when I see those who can't find empathy or share empathy with others, I get really defensive, and I want to protect them. And maybe that's what I feel towards my father. It's like learning more of the circumstances of him going to prison, which I don't know if I'm going to elaborate on, but basically he protected. He was a protector, and he paid the price for it. And that doesn't absolve him of other stuff he was involved with, or, you know, what he may or may not be involved with today, but sacrifice is something that most people cannot do and have no understanding of. And in our society today, I just think it's a very valuable trait. So, anywho, what else is going on in my life? I don't know. I guess I want to try to like make this not just woe is me. I certainly have started to feel a bit more empowerment and strength, and just kind of making decisions and acting. You know, I was in LA, and there's a girl from college that not romantic, but close. We always been very emotionally close in some way or another. And I went out there, and I was like, I was very excited to see her. And, we hung out once, and then I was supposed to watch her dog for like 4 days while she went home to like do a memorial for her father, who died a long time ago. Not a long time, like 8 months ago or something like that. But she wanted me to watch the dog while she was going to deal with that. But we didn't hang out the entire time that I was there. And it made me feel like a chump a little bit. She like blew me off twice. And again, this isn't anything romantic. I just like wanted to see my friend, and then like, why am I telling you this? I don't know. I bailed on her. I was like, I can't watch the damn dog. Or no, I asked him like, could your other friend watch the dog? And she didn't answer that directly, which frustrated me more. And I hate when people do that. I'm like, hey, can Sarah watch the dog? She's just like, why can't you? I'm like, that is not, God damn it, that's not what I asked you. So we're not speaking anymore. I don't know. It just sucks getting old. I think that's the other part too. It's like, everyone just gets so fucking rigid. We're so, and I'm doing it. We all do it, but like we're so about protecting ourselves, or rather we conflate self-love and personal growth with like being intolerant of people falling short of these very rigid parameters we create for our expectations of like what people should be, and if someone fucks up once, it's like, I'm cutting them off, and I think that's what happens when we get old. We just have less emotional elasticity to account for other people's like mistakes. And it's a real shame, because I see it all the time. Like people are so quick to cut each other off, because and now more than ever, like we're just so threatened and under attack from everywhere all the time that like people are just like, oh wait, you're not gonna watch dead to me. And I've seen it happen to my family, and I think maybe that's why I'm trying to embrace this notion of empathy. Particularly where it's difficult, and politically, I think that's why I try to be so empathetic to people that like I may disagree with or whatnot. I've just seen in my own family how quick people are to cut each other off and like not talk to each other for like decades to the end of their life. It's like I've got my mom and an aunt and like my grandmother and her sister, and like my life is just a story of like black people like not talking to each other because like someone cursed them out at a game of spades in 1977. It's just like, I'm like, what? Hey grandma, how come you don't talk to Grandma Irie? Well, we were playing spades in 1976 and she said I was cheating, so I never spoke to that heifer ever again. Like, grandma, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh god. That's not an exact example, but it's just shit like that. So, I don't know. I've just seen people cut people off. Hey, look, my doors are always open. I'll be clear with you when I am, like, not having something, but there are very few things that a person cannot come back from. But I think now we've just confused happiness with eliminating risk or eliminating anything that we can't control, or any variables, which ties perfectly into COVID. That's the world people are trying to create. There's so much uncertainty about this thing, largely in part to the previous administration, and largely in part to this fucking medical establishment that honestly doesn't know what they're talking about entirely. Obviously, there's a lot of good that they've done in the past 2 years, but they're unwilling to say we don't know. They have to say, well, the science changes. I don't know, which is a lot different than saying I don't know. And that's what we're seeing in our weird society now. We're seeing this OCD, people who are used to comfort and not a lot of variables in their life having to face an uncertain world for the first time. So they're clamoring towards anything that resembles stability. So if the government says, hey, we cooked up this vaccine, we don't know if it works too good, but yeah, give it a shot. Okay, yes, sir. Or, hey, wear a mask and, do these things and that'll protect you from this virus, but in actuality, it probably ain't gonna do shit, but, we gotta tell you to do something. And they're like, okay, yes, and anyone who says not to is the enemy. So, yeah, I think that's, again, people, we're all fucking threatened little animals who are in a corner. We're like a little piece of shit dog covered in mud that, someone's trying to, pick up to bring back to the vet to clean him up and give him shots, but the dog's like that's what people are right now. But you gotta let your guard down to have any kind of happiness in this fucking world, period. You have to let your guard down to have happiness. Otherwise, it is simply fabricated, synthetic, and not full. It is a facsimile of living. It is a facsimile of joy and happiness when you eliminate the variables in life that we can never control. But we've somehow fooled ourselves into thinking, whether it's COVID or anything else, that you can control calamity. And you can't. You can't. I don't know. No. I don't have a lot of friends anymore. That's another thing too. I realize I have friends, but that list of regular confidants or just sort of a quorum of people. Of course I have friends. I have many friends, but you're realizing that people are starting to fortify their futures. Whether that's marriage or having a kid or a long-term relationship or committing themselves to something that ain't you. I.e. the group, the hang, as buddies used to do. It's changing, I think people are really clamoring for this consistency, this, the girl I was seeing on and off for 5 years. I don't blame her, but again, it's she wanted not something fluid. She wanted hard definitions, are we this, and we're gonna get married and have kids, again, my philosophy is that these things naturally come out of just being with the right person. I just feel like if you're spending time with someone long enough, these things kind of naturally manifest themselves. My vision was always this I'm seeing a girl long enough that one day, in our beach bungalow somewhere in Hilton Head, South Carolina, we're having sex for the third time that day, and then we're just drunk and high and having a good time, and then we realize we didn't put a condom on, and then she's just I think I'm pregnant, after she does a pregnancy test or something. And I'd be far out? Yeah, I mean, we've been fucking for 5 years. I would assume at some point that would have happened. We should get married, I guess. So romantic, right? The Hilton Head part. We're in a nice resort. Ah, shit. You can't please anyone. I don't know. Yeah, man. I was also weirdly, I was watching not Aaron Eckhart, who's another weird looking white guy actor. He was in Training Day. Not Aaron Eckhart, but Cypher D. What the fuck is his name? God, it's gonna kill me. Joaquin, no. Aaron Eckhart, he's got some heart. Not Denzel Washington, but who the fuck is the other guy in Training Day? Ooh, that's gonna kill me. All right, anyway, him. He was giving an interview talking about how hard adulthood is. How he thought that you get better and you just get better and life gets easier because you're getting older and better. And it's like, there's a time where you really believe that. And like, it just struck me because like, I remember thinking that. I remembered I'd get older, so I'd get more money, and I'd get, my friends would, we'd all be hanging out. Just, I don't know, you just have this notion of it just being this very steady acclivity, rising upward with no real pitfalls. I mean, sure, someone dies, or you get sick for a little bit, but for the most part, it's like this general upward swing that it's just not, and the past 5 years have been a fucking nightmare for me because I'm just in this adjustment period of like, the boy you were, you will not be able to thrive as an adult living the way that I was, just booze hound, depressed, alone, just like drinking in bars alone, like not having close connections because they're hard, and like all the whatever, however they manifest, it means it means something different for everyone. But that stood out to me, just how much life is not this steady improvement. There's just so many potholes along the way. So anyhow, I don't know. But all that said, I guess I'm improving. I think I'm making progress. I finished 1 year at this corporate job, which is really cool. I didn't think I'd make it that far, and it's like, okay, I did it. I worked a corporate job for a year, and now now that's a good thing to pivot off of. It's not like I did it for 6 months or I did it for 4.5 months. It's like, okay, checkbox. And deciding if that is something I want to continue to do. I really miss stand-up and like how the world used to be, but it ain't going back to that ever. So we all got to try to make peace with that. And it doesn't mean we won't be happy ever again. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means how we used to be happy is going to look a lot different, and we have to make that change, or identify what that change looks like. All right. I'm going to take a look at my notebook just because I don't even know what the hell the point of this shit is. Let's see what winning jokes the aging comedian has. Kingdom of Fear, there are two types of people. Yeah, I mean, there's two types of people. There are people who want Grubhub, and there's people who want drive-thru, There are people who drive through Chick-fil-A or dine in at Chick-fil-A, and there are people who are happy to make no contact with a human and, interact through life via an app. And again, I think, COVID in our times are more a condition, more a mental condition, more of a pathology than anything else now. It's like, look, we're all getting COVID now, okay? So at some point, I think we're wrapping things up here. But the psychology that made this such a divisive issue beyond, the medical and biological implications of it are deep reaching. And I just think it's interesting how much people's behaviors manifest themselves, their latent behaviors, what was going on behind the scenes in America that COVID sort of activated, these two Americas of like, we'll listen to whatever you say as long as you tell us we're going to be safe, versus, fuck you, I'm going to do it on my own. Like, which is, one level of it, and it continues to go deeper. And I'm just so fascinated by what, because it's not about the disease, it's about people's behavior and what they do when they're threatened. And that goes back to what I was talking about when I started this episode, just empathy and just, acting from a place of fear, that cornered animal. It's like, that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a biological whatever. This shit it'll pass. We'll get another one. This is not the end of humanity, but it is showing us what humanity is comprised of right now. And it's not good, it's a very scared, empty population. And just, the amount of people who are just on a thread right now psychologically is just not talked about enough. Oh, so you want to kill people then? You're not going to get the vaccine? You want to kill people? That's not exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, you think that vaccine works? It's like, no, it's not that. I don't know. So many variables. What is it? This notebook's empty. Let me grab an old one. I'll end on that. I'll end on some old shit. It's literally covered in dust. Cupcakes and Condos, Kingston Documentary. What do we got here? Toxic Masculinity. I get it from my mom. That's good. She's a single black woman in Harlem. Trust me, that's where I got it from. My buddy's crazy Korean dad. They had like my buddy Joe Pack. Ooh, not his full name. That's not his name. Yep, whatever. Joseph Katori. Yeah, Katori is his name. Him and his like Korean father and mother would have like full on like battles during playdates. Like we'd be playing Mario Brothers 3. And this guy like came in with like boxers on and like a slipper and started like going upside his wife's head like in front of the TV. And I'm just like trying to beat the level, and then like he like beat her up. It was bad. And then afterwards, my buddy is like, "Thanks for like not being like weird." You know, our other rich friends, because like, you know, he lived in like the border of Harlem and I lived in Harlem, so like, you know, we were kind of like the poorer kids at our private school. He's like, yeah, like Teddy would have been really so scared. He would have like called the cops and called his mom, and like you didn't say anything. And I was like, nigga, I was just trying to beat the level and focus on the game, so I didn't get hit. Shut the fuck up. Very good. This mansplaining just when you tell a rich white girl she's wrong. That's a good old fashioned one. In 30s, we have man motions. Yeah, I've been emotional as fuck. Yeah, like tearing up during Spider-Man and shit because he was able to prove his worth. You know, he was able to redeem himself after like dropping his girlfriend in the other movie. Whatever, you people don't care about that. Farming the hood, smash the patriarchy after cosigns on my mortgage. I miss comedy. I'm so lonely. I look forward to getting pulled over. Hey, man. What took you so long, man? I've been out here all night. How you doing? Being art majors and Tinder. Tinder changes where you are in the country. You know, Tinder New York is just like, look, if you do not believe in women being superior, if you ever doubted a woman, swipe left. And like when you go to Kentucky, it's just like, just be a good man. This is it. I'm just reading from my notebook here. I just miss comedy. I love having sex with old white women. They make you snacks afterwards. I had sex with this old lady in Connecticut, and like she's like, you want a snack for the road? I was like, why yes I would, Wendy. And she's just like, here's my son's Lunchable. And I was like, you give me your son's Lunchable? Gangsta. Faster safe places. Wrote a book. His man smashed patriarchy. You gotta write some new jokes, Duval. All right. Well. All right. Anyway, I guess my point is like I'm getting somewhere. I don't know where it is, but you know, I went to Florida after I was in LA, and it sucks. I'm so lonely. It's just like I go to these wonderful places, but like I just miss having a team, a quorum. You know, Florida's beautiful, and I don't know. I don't know. Something was missing. I think there's something missing in my brain. I think I need to start antidepressants. I know I've talked about that at nauseum on here, but it's like I do things and I see things and I go to places, but it's just like something's missing. I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's love? Woman. All right. Hey, any of you that listen to this, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I'm doing better, I guess. The Lyme disease is better, I think. I don't know. Apparently, chronic Lyme disease doesn't exist. Man, this world is so fucked up, you know? So you go to one person, nah, man. Go to another person, you damn sure got it. But I'm not as tired and shitty feeling as I was feeling, so maybe it's just, onward and upward. Drink less, exercise more, and eat right. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Hey guys, Happy New Year. I hope you're all well. Yeah. And if you do listen to this, please reach out and just like say what's up. It means a lot, and like it makes me want to do these more if these are of interest to you. So even if it's just like, hey, good episode, not even like good episode, but just like make more. That would encourage me. Because sometimes I feel like I'm just speaking into the darkness, and I don't want to speak into the darkness anymore. Because I All right, ladies and gents, I'll talk to you later. Have a good night.
I love you.